All right, folks, a warm welcome. I'm sitting in for my colleague who is away. On duty takes him out of town, so I'm here. Welcome to the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Citizen Jones. Today on the program, INEC holds on to Okorocha's certificate of return as judges hands-off suit challenging the withholding. Millers producers urge federal government to investigate increase in rice smuggling into the country. And later on, Labour Minister faces backlash over doctors can leave comment. I'm hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Jide, I greet you.
I greet you.
I think we have recovered from the Easter holiday.
No, we've been strengthened by the Easter.
There's also Emeka Madunagu. I greet you. Yeah, okay. Now the team is ready. I hope you are. Now, you know, these could never be the best of times for outgoing Imo State Governor Rochas Okorocha. For him, a saying credited to the late cowboy-turned-politician, President of America, you know the one I'm talking about. He said, politics is supposed to be the second oldest profession on the planet, but it bears a close resemblance to the first. You know what I mean, too. Yes, the embattled helmsman may appear to have won a senatorial seat at the last general election, but the umpire, the INEC, has let it be known that a certificate of return is issued to people who only win at genuine elections. A man went to court for redress, but he met a brick wall there. Justice Taiwo of the Federal High Court, Abuja, and some colleagues of his have washed their hands off the suit. Somebody sure has forgotten Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power, Jide.
Yeah. What we are witnessing in respect of Okorocha's matter is quite novel. What I want to see is for INEC to investigate the claim by the returning officer and take a decision. The problem with INEC has to do with its inconsistency. In Bauchi State, Tafa Balewa, local government to be precise, the returning officer claimed that she was harassed and induced to enter the figures that she entered in respect of that local government, the election that took place.
Said it at the mic.
And she said
to the hearing of everybody.
Yes, she said she said she was induced. I mean, she was forced. And INEC went ahead to cancel the electoral process in that local government.
Ideally.
And that was, in my view, the right thing to do. And it went ahead because where you have doubts about the fidelity of the process, it makes sense to cancel the process. And INEC went ahead and conducted a rerun in that area. A rerun was conducted. And the PDP, which over the years had been strong in that constituency, is the constituency of the Speaker of the House of Reps, Akubu Dogara. The PDP won. So what we have in Imo,
West.
what we have in Imo is similar to that. Someone, the returning officer says, oh, he feared for the lives of members of his family, that he was under duress. That's what we had, that he said. And INEC decided to hold on to Okorocha's certificate of return. Even in the case of Okorocha, an announcement had been made. But you know what? Since this matter, INEC has every reason to believe its staff. Then the ideal thing to do is to say, okay, we're organizing a fresh election. And not to simply leave everything in abeyance, leave all of us guessing what his next action will be. The elections were held a long time ago. But nothing has happened. So if you are not sure that Okorocha deservedly won the election, why don't you just do a rerun? Because the people of Olu district, where he comes from, deserve to be represented, whether by him or by the person who is next to him.
That's it.
But we have a situation in which no decision has been taken. You just left everyone in a quandary. I don't think it makes sense to behave in this way.
Emeka, you know, I'm sorry this is happening in your
No, that's my in-law state.
Okay.
But an Anambra man.
The difference is the same, Jide. Now, the Imo governor, curiously the author of Iberiberism, loosely translated to mean narcissism or conceit, you know. How can you hunt with the foxes and then hope to fly with the hawks? That's talking about what took him to the court.
Yeah, well, he went to the courts believing that he will get the judiciary to compel INEC to get him his certificate of return. But he's not the only one in this situation, because there are other parties. Now the other parties, some of the other parties have said that, have accused the judges of bias. So which even makes the matter more complicated. It makes it complicated. Rochas were just looking for a straightforward declaration by the court that he won the election and he should be issued with a certificate of return. But the point is that Imo State is one of the states in this country with a high level of political activism. You know, the people of the state don't joke with politics. I mean, they usually see political issues to the end.
We also hear the state is about the most best read, if you see what I mean.
Yeah,
I
think they have the highest cutoff mark.
Yeah,
you know, in terms of
educationally advanced.
Yes,
advantage state.
Yes. No, of course. Of course, the people of the state. The people of Imo State, my in-laws, they really take education very seriously. But you know, back to the matter at hand. You know, the fact remains that, just like Jide said, INEC cannot be seen to quote unquote be arresting the result of the election. On one hand, you've already you've already shown your hand that you believe Rochas didn't win the election. Because, like what Festus Okoye said, that you can't engage in bad behavior and be expected to be rewarded. So, saying that the man who believes he won the election, Governor Okorocha, engaged in bad behavior, even though he didn't specify what kind of bad behavior, you know, Rochas engaged in. But of course, saying that, you know, implying that he engaged in bad behavior, and so he will not be given the certificate of return. Then fine, why not cancel the election? Order a rerun. Or
if it is within what the electoral law says.
It is within.
It is.
If they did that in Atafa Balewa, why can't they do it?
Or
it's basically the same
award him
scenario.
the certificate and let the matter go to the tribunal. Because what is really at stake in this matter is a testimony of an official, you know, somebody who, superintended over the election.
Yes.
Millions had the voice, you know.
Yes, but it should be investigated.
Yes.
INEC has the capacity, the resources to investigate that claim. It's done that in the past. When in 2015, Rotimi Amechi made some complaints about the conduct of the first election, the first sequence of elections in Rivers State. INEC investigated and decided that it should allow the results of the election to stay.
Okay.
Because the INEC chairman at the time, Professor Ojega, addressed the country and said, well, we have looked at the complaints made by Rotimi Amechi. You know, he said that he will not, that he and members of his party will not vote unless they see this form EC8,
yeah, EC8, yeah.
that, which is the form on which you impute results of elections. He said if he did not set his eyes on the form, that they will not take part in the election. So they decided not to take part in the election. But INEC came, investigated, and then said it was standing by the conduct of that election. So INEC has the resources and the wherewithal generally to investigate the claim made by the returning officer. Because it's not enough to say because someone made a claim, then it's true. No, you still have to investigate.
Fine,
that is how to show that you are even-handed.
Yes.
You can't just because someone made a claim, then you just conclude that that person is right. Investigate it. Let's hear witnesses. At the end of the day, you then take a decision. What is the decision that you want to take? Do you want to have Okorocha disqualified, or do you want a fresh election? Just take a decision that at the end of the day would be as stipulated by the letters of the law.
Of the law, yeah.
So at the end of the day, we will not be left in a quandary. We will see progress being made on the matter. But for now, it just seems that there's no motion.
Emeka, and interestingly, Imo West is replete with heavyweights. You're talking about Osita Izunazo. There's Jones Onyere, so Owajimogo. It's a hell of a fight ahead.
There is another person a returning officer who is said to have even fled abroad, who entered the resort. He entered the resort of one of the candidates on the form, on the result sheet for a rerun senatorial election held a long time ago. Wow. So, and now the INEC is holding on to that one as well, because as we speak now, I think there's only one result that has been declared in Imo.
Yeah.
I think the INEC has agreed. Yeah. So now the returning officer in that case has even fled abroad, as we had. So what does INEC want to do? The fellow who is the beneficiary of the positive outcome, he said, look, the court should declare him the winner. But his result was entered on the wrong sheet.
Emeka, in taking this home now, gentlemen, I think 2 or so days ago, the deputy registrar of the appeal court is saying that over 766 petitions arising from the just concluded elections. For the Senate, you have 101, and then the House of Reps, 200 and some fraction. So it tells you we are a long, long way from home, since the ballot box cannot be the sole determinant of election outcomes. It's something that should worry everybody.
Yeah, but of course, politics is big business in Nigeria.
Okay.
It's big business.
You are qualifying it.
Oh, yes, it's big business, because if you win, you know the huge benefits that accrue to you. It's a known fact.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a fact that's known to everybody. Now, the other thing we need to look at is we need to do something about the huge, the huge demonetization of political offices in Nigeria, because that is the attraction. That is a major attraction. A lot of people don't go into. In fact, hardly any Nigerian politician goes to run for any position
just to serve,
because he or she wants to serve.
Oh yeah.
But
you get to hear things like, my people asked me.
Yeah, my people asked me. I mean, his own people in his own imagination.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but of course, money and then power. Those are the two motivating factors. Okay. Service is out of it. It's usually out of it.
No wonder we are told if you had two plates, you had rights in the one plate and privileges in the other. The politician will go for the privileges.
Of course.
It sounds crazy. Okay, let the debate continue, and so we must move on. For a country sold on everything foreign or imported, it will be a tall order stemming the importation of rice. That's why rice millers and producers have lost their cool over this shameful predilection. The chairman of the Anambra State Association of Rice Millers and Producers, Akai Egwonwo, I hope I got that right, is charging the federal authorities to investigate the upsurge in rice importation or smuggling into the country. To him, the prime suspects are men of the Customs and Excise Service, men of the Customs and Excise, who aid and abet smuggling. The man should know, but it takes two to tango, as they say. If there's no ready market for him, smuggled rice and prohibited food items into the country, there will be no customers. Is anybody out there listening, Jide and Mika?
Someone should be listening, because this is a big problem. And rice mills, integrated rice mills, are in trouble now. Their businesses are in ruins. And if things continue in this manner, the goal of the federal government to achieve rice sufficiency will never be achieved, because we have a situation in which we tell ourselves that we are producing 90% of the rice that we consume, but of course that is a lie from the pit of hell. We have suddenly become a big dumping ground for imported rice, poor quality imported rice, some of which had been in the warehouses in Thailand for up to 10 years. In their country, they feed such quality of rice. They take such quality of rice to the feed mills, where they can be used for as animal feed. But that is what we eat here. They send it here.
Have you heard of the Chinese stuff? Things, something that looks like rice from China.
Plastic rice
and all that.
We hear all sorts of stories. But you see, Benin Republic, a country of barely 13 million people, has suddenly become the #1 importer of rice from Thailand. And Thailand is the #2 exporter of rice in the world. So if Benin Republic has suddenly become the #1 importer of rice, that should tell you where the rice that they are importing to Benin is going, because they do not have the people to heat the rice that is coming to their country. So smuggling is on a massive scale in our country, smuggling of rice. It's difficult for me to agree that men of the customs are aiding and abetting. Maybe some bad eggs amongst them.
Yeah.
Well, we have a country where there are more than 4,000 illegal entry points. Through those illegal entry points, smuggling of rice into our country is happening every day on a big scale.
Everything contraband.
Go to any customs warehouse in this country, you see that the warehouse is bursting at the seams with imported rice. I mean, I've seen a few of them in Katsina, even in Abeokuta here, when I visited the customs people. The whole place was filled with rice, imported rice. So you can't say that they are not doing...
Customs place.
Yes, rice that they seized.
That's rice that they seized.
Seized from
when they
smugglers.
seize this rice, Emeka, you can go there. When they seize it, so what next?
No, the president has directed them that the rice that they seized should be given to IDPs.
Okay.
These children, orphanages,
across the country.
Across the country. So the bulk of the rice that they eat in those big IDPs in Borno State, like the one that is called Bakassi.
Okay.
That's where they go. And there's an IDP camp in Borno where you have up to 1 million people.
Emeka,
So this is what's happening.
Emeka, you look at another angle to it. I'm told, rightly or wrongly, we have up to 33 varieties of rice grown locally. So question, why can't we go there?
Yeah, you see, rice is a staple in Nigeria, and it is one, staple that Nigerians take very seriously. You hold a party, I mean, rice must be on the menu. It's easy to prepare and all of that. But you have to look at the cultural aspect, because imported rice, there is something about status. I don't know, even the ordinary man on the street feels, how can I be, taking locally produced rice?
Like E.G. or Fada.
Yeah, but then again, some people also say that there's a problem of polishing. Then there's a problem of the smell that comes with some of these varieties of rice. But I believe that government needs to look at that cultural aspect, and the government needs to do a serious orientation campaign, because a situation where you hear an allegation like that people take local rice, pour them into bags, with
pretending they are imported.
With descriptions of imported rice. I mean, what does that tell you? It means that we don't even have faith in the things we produce here. I mean, I must commend President Muhammadu Buhari, for the recent matching order he gave to the EFCC to collaborate with the customs, with the DSS, police, and all of that. Intelligence and interagency collaboration to stem rice, rice smuggling into the country. It's a commendable move. Yeah. But I think the president needs to look beyond just, security agencies getting involved. Because if you look at it, if you remember, cases where, you had this interagency collaboration on stemming fuel, on stemming, hoarding of fuel.
Okay.
You saw where it ended. Members of such committees became millionaires overnight. Instead of helping to make petrol available, they now made cash available to their own pockets and to their bank accounts. So the president needs to, go beyond that. You need to do something about that cultural thing. And really, there must be massive, the same way they put in so much effort when they want to increase the price of petrol. You see all kinds of adverts on TV or radio. They should do that, a lot of that.
Nutritionists will always tell us that imported rice can't stand something like a rice type like lake rice, because overnight, the imported ones will melt, while the lake rice, I've deliberately gone ahead to check this out. The lake rice stays overnight and you don't have wahala. So polished rice, Jida, I don't know if you have heard, polished rice or parboiled is not particularly healthy.
It's not.
Even though it's something you want at the table.
Oh, the truth is, our own local rice varieties are far more nutritious, and they offer a lot to the body than this imported rice. My own concern is the fact that what they send here, and that's why it's very cheap. The local rice cannot compete with imported rice because of variation in price.
Yes.
It can't compete. It's as simple as that.
Oh, no. Which is more expensive?
The local rice is far more expensive.
It's far more expensive.
Rightly or wrongly?
It is.
This is the truth. No, go to the market and see for yourself. And I've said it that the biggest rice markets in Lagos and in the other big towns in our country, you will find a preponderance of imported rice.
All kinds of names. With all kinds of names.
That should tell you it's because smuggling is happening.
Oh, yeah.
Smuggling is happening at a frenetic pace. So we cannot, and because people can afford because it's a cheaper option to the locally produced rice, people then go to buy.
So, but at that point, you wonder why Nigerians quarrel.
Putting the business of millers,
within
integrated rice farms in Nigeria, they are putting their businesses in jeopardy.
Yeah.
If the producers had let us listen to the guy from Anambra, he was saying, look, we are finding it difficult to stay afloat. We can't even buy paddy rice from farmers. Some of our businesses are closing down. It's a big problem because a few years back, when we really began to take rice, growing of rice seriously, everyone was happy with the minister then, Akinwumi, you know. But we have a situation in which, if we are not careful, we continue to live in denial. We are not careful, and we do not do something drastic about the massive smuggling of rice into our country, especially through Benin Republic, then a lot of these rice mills will die, and the people that they employ will be, I mean, their current employees will be out of job. And then we'll come here again and be arguing amongst ourselves, Odogbe was right, we were doing 90%. Oh, the VP said we are doing 90%, we consume 90% of what we produce. What is the current yield per hectare of rice in Nigeria? That would, given the way in which we grow rice and all that, because we have not really embraced technology that much. Now, what is the current yield per hectare?
Gentlemen, watch on the screen. You are seeing a miller, you know, processing rice and so on.
Those are local millers.
But if you make the process become sophisticated, nothing can be wrong with it.
It is sophisticated. To the integrated rice mills, you know, it is sophisticated to a very large extent. When you see, even in terms of, some of them have destoning machines. You can't find stone in their rice. So it's just
Abakaliki rice.
It's unfortunate that we continue to think that our own locally produced rice is inferior. Honestly, if you see some Nigerian brands and you put them side by side, the foreign brands, you won't be able to tell the difference. And that's why it is possible for some people, you know, to even be rebagging these things. Because they can see clearly that, look, instead of your rice remaining in your store and not able to sell it, if it is the imported rice that they want to eat, this is actually, I think, paddy rice. You know? So if it is imported rice that they want to eat, then why don't you rebag it so that they will buy?
Emeka the cynic would ask, so why not crash the price? Why not crash the
production? It's not that easy.
It's
about the cost of production.
It's the cost of production.
Cost of production. Then you also have the issue of power. It's a major component.
That's what drives up the
production.
cost.
And then, of course, a lot of things, a lot of other things.
You know,
petrol to wet their farms.
But, of course, the government has really tried by pumping in a lot of money and making rice production a major focus. But I think the government still needs to put in a lot of effort, put in a lot of resources.
Sorry, we must pass over.
If we do not do something about the smuggling, it will be like what happened to the textile farms. One by one, those textile farms died.
Disappeared. Over 400 of them.
Yes. So this is what is likely to happen. And that's why we are raising this alarm. Government should do something about the smuggling. Some people have suggested that even that Nigeria should meet with the leadership of Benin Republic.
All right.
About this matter.
Apart from smuggling of rice, porous borders will lend themselves to crazy things like cross-border crime, trafficking in human beings, and in drugs. Well, the debate must continue. Now, still to come, Labour Minister faces backlash over doctors can't leave comment. You want to stay? All right, folks, we are not done yet about rice. Emeka, it's only natural. Emeka says it's a staple, it has come to stay, but we can make it more beautiful, more nutritious, and more advantageous, save a lot of foreign exchange. I hear that at the borders, if you make when Jide said he finds it difficult to link customs officers to smuggling and so on. You hear things like when you make to transfer a customs officer from a particular border post, he can go to the village for you. Does it make sense to you?
Well,
have you heard that too?
I've heard that. But that sounds funny, because if he has to go to such an extent, then he is an unpatriotic element.
Yeah, well,
you
are preaching. The man says you want to remove Gary and put stone.
Then why would he be allowed to remain
at the border? The problem
a minute longer.
Smuggling, which has become a most potent
then for
industry.
Then for such an officer, I'm not saying it's not true, but for such an officer to still remain at his duty post means he is pandering to certain interests high above.
Don't let us go there, because I was going to tell you, am I telling you already, that people pay to get recruited?
Oh, a lot of things.
Why does he pay to get recruited if he's not sure of returns? You know.
Yeah, like we talked about politics earlier. You know, very lucrative venture. It's the same thing with getting into certain agencies in Nigeria, where it is believed that, I mean, even if you spend up to ₦1 million getting such a job, you are sure of raising the money and returning it very quickly. So with that, what kind of a system are we building? We are building a system that, you know, does not work in our interest.
And the roof is likely to crash on our heads.
Oh, the roof keeps leaking, and the holes through which the rain, you know, gets in. I mean, rainwater gets in. Keep expanding.
So, Judy, so we are looking. I cannot but rub this in. Cross-border crimes, unrelated wahala. I mean, you know, smuggled drugs and so on. Get through these porous borders. All sorts of things.
We have to tighten our border patrols, equip the customs men with all that they require. Every profession has its bad eggs. I know that there are decent people in customs. There are people who will not take a bribe in customs, no matter how much we see them as people who compromise their work. There are many people in the customs who are incorruptible, just as we have some of them in the police. So, and the customs, in spite of the fact that we are in a season of declining importation, the customs continues to meet their target, especially under the leadership of Ahmed Ali,
kudos to him.
Since President Buhari took over. So we really have to commend them. I'm saying that the customs guys have been doing a tremendous work trying to stop rice smuggling. And the evidence is there everywhere you go to their warehouses. Those pictures that you see on our screen, shot from warehouses of customs. And every day, this is what they do. Every day they catch these smugglers. Every day they seize
and you hear they engage in shooting battles with them.
But you see any line of business that has a big profit margin, Nigerians will kill to get involved in it. If you like, you can be beheading them. They will not stop, because they see that they imagine that if I can just get this over the line, it is good money for me. Look at the funny things.
Kidnapping.
Look at even where, if you know what they do to smuggle rice into this country. Sometimes even tires of their cars, they slice the tires of their cars and put rice bags in tires. These guys, they go
That's what you call firewall.
They go to great lengths, and we too must be determined as a country. It's a good thing that under this administration, the quantum of foreign exchange that we used to spend importing rice
directly,
and you know, we no longer do that. We no longer do that. Nobody sets aside that kind of money.
Yeah,
you know,
and waivers,
because the president said, "See, we must eat what we grow."
Because it's possible.
Because it's possible. So he decided not to spend all of the foreign exchange bringing in rice. But that has been, now businessmen are sending rice from Thailand to Benin Republic because they are certain that through Benin Republic they can bring it into our country.
And their ports, you don't charge fees.
Go to the north, go to a lot of the border towns in the north. Go to the border towns in the south. Okay. You will see that imported rice is everywhere. It's like the main business that they do in those communities. I mean, smuggled rice.
You know something? Let's stop importation from here now, you know, and move on to another subject. But then let the debate continue. Is it not wise to eat what we grow? It's possible. You know, we move to our next topic. Labour Minister is in the news. In the end, as they say, it is possible for people to forget a gaffe or an act of indiscretion from an officer of the state. But it's pretty difficult to forget how a big man made the people feel by the faux pas or the gaffe. Labour Minister Dr. Chris Ngige said the country had adequate medical personnel, hence there should be no worry over the trend of doctors leaving the country to practice abroad. Today, that comment is ruffling feathers across the board, across the land. I'm wondering how the minister himself, a medical doctor, would rationalize the statement he made on network TV. Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Are you saying what I'm so? You know, recently practice medicine here in Lagos, on Lagos Island, many years ago. I doubt if he's still in touch with what's going on in medical practice. There are many of them who are into politics.
Your Senate President, our Senate President
there are some who went to medical college but have no history of practicing the profession. So he appears to have lost touch with developments in that sector. India has 476 medical colleges. All they do is simply train doctors.
It's specialized fields.
Yes. Nigeria has about 30
of such
medical colleges. Okay. And when I talk about 30 medical colleges, including private medical colleges, some of them that do not even have accreditation. Private universities, you know. So we do not even have the capacity to produce enough doctors. Because when you look at the UNESCO doctor-to-patient ratio.
1 to 600, am I right? 200?
Yes, 1 to, I think 500 doctors. Yeah. So
No. 500 patients.
500 patients, 1 to 500 patients. In our case, it is 1 to about 4,000 patients. That's the situation that we face. But Kenya has 1 to 16,000 patients. But what they are doing, they are building public primary health centers all over the country. It's a big challenge for them. What are we doing? We are not building enough PHCs across the country. And today, we have the worst maternal mortality ratio rate in the world. On the world.
Yeah. Wow.
So shouldn't that tell someone that in our rural areas especially, where you need a lot of doctors, they are not there. And you want people to believe that we have more than enough. He's speaking like a politician. He's simply looking at the matter in terms of, when they go out, they will bring foreign exchange to the country and that the economy will grow as a result of that. He also talked about the fact that when he was growing up, Indians taught him chemistry, biology. The question to ask Chris Ngige is, are those Indians still here? So if we make our country better, we won't have a situation in which people will be going abroad. Today, if the currency, because of the differentials in currency value, if our currency becomes strong today, a lot of those doctors, because in my view, this is economic pilgrimage that people are making.
Oh, yes.
It's economic migration that is happening.
I have a cousin who is in the U.S. She's been there with her husband for years. They won the lottery and went there. She's a pathologist.
Look, it's not even doctors alone that they are gunning for.
I say she's a pathologist. High demand.
Look at what they've done in the United Kingdom now. Because of this, their Brexit wahala. They have lowered the conditions
for entry.
Now, it means that because they know that some of those people will leave as a result of Brexit, some of the professionals that they have now will leave. So they are lowering the entry qualification so that they can bring in more nurses from here, more dentists from here.
Yeah.
We have just about 75,000 in medical and dental practice in our country.
Registered.
In a country, yes.
Registered.
Yes, in a country of 200 million people. There's no way that you can tell me that we have enough. There's no way.
Add to this wahala, quackery. Quackery. It's a big problem.
It is.
At the primary, secondary, and tertiary levels.
It is. A lot of,
fake doctors.
Fake doctors, or registered.
Your spiritual homes don't help matters. Anybody falls ill, go for an anointing oil and all that.
Well, that is a personal choice.
No.
It's a personal choice.
You must rub that. Find somewhere to rub it in.
I wouldn't take away the constitutional right of people to make their personal choices. That's personal. But the fact of the matter is that Ngige ought to apologize to Nigerians for that comment, because he didn't take into consideration the situation right now. The situation is dire. The situation is really, it's not in this kind of situation you make such comments that we have enough, they can go. You can never have enough. Right now, China is spending a lot of money putting its young people, sending them to prestigious universities around the world, because China has a target. A target, I think by 2035, a program they call Make for China. Not just made in China. Make for China. So that China must have a standard. That's the same China that wants to launch a moon next year.
I heard it, yeah.
To serve as street light. Now, if a country like China that has really moved several steps ahead of Nigeria can still be thinking the fact that its standard right now, the standard it offers to citizens is not
when China popularized acupuncture, we laughed at it. Acupuncture has taken over.
Yeah, so
it's Chinese that they can own it. But I hear there's something we can own here. Some of our doctors, medical people they rank amongst the best on the planet.
Of course.
And years ago, Jide, you remember, UC, University College Ibadan, was supposed to be one of the best in the Commonwealth.
I read somewhere when, was it Clinton, when he was in office, at the time on vacation, he stayed in the vacation somewhere, I think in South America. He stayed in the home of one of the best doctors, a Nigerian.
Oh, it's unfortunate that
we have, and the thing is that when these people go abroad, they get better. Because their
know-how is enhanced.
Do you know the people, Ngige, simply looking at numbers, and it's unfortunate because I expect him to know a lot more than he's talking about. These people are poaching specialists with experience.
Even public health.
They are not poaching freshers.
No.
They are not poaching fresh doctors. They are poaching the best that we have.
Sorry, here the minister. Brain drain will be only inimical when, for instance, neurosurgeons travel out and we don't have neurosurgeons.
Oh, he's waiting for that to happen.
You say
he's waiting for that to happen. Is he saying that we have enough surgeons?
That's what he's suggesting.
You see,
so when they move out, we are in trouble.
You see, in our country, surgeons are not enough. For some of the ailments that our people are going abroad for, some of those ailments are not even critical ailments. If we have enough people to handle some of those ailments, there's no need. So in Lagos, for example, even the private hospitals, you know what they do? Because they don't have enough surgeons, those surgeons rotate rounds. It could be a surgeon in Lasut.
Doing PP somewhere.
Yes, the private hospitals that are around your neighborhood. You know, people jam those private because not everyone wants to drive long distances to see to get Medicare. The surgeon already has some particular days when he will show up. It could be once a week that he shows up. If they have a resident surgeon, would they drop a roster whereby someone comes just once a week? We don't have enough surgeons. What he has said is not a product of any empirical research. No.
All right, I hear we have a caller. Kunle is reaching us from Ondo State. Kunle, I greet you.
Yeah, good evening.
Welcome.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, and you?
I want to really contribute to what you are discussing.
Go on.
In actual fact, you have actually said it all. The comments of the Honorable Minister cannot be verified as being coming from any research study.
No.
And that is too bad for a man of that status. As I'm talking to you, we have just one site to 1 million Nigerians. And I think we are enough. And people are seeing us every day. We don't have up to 100 insurgents in Nigeria. And you are telling them to move out. It's an unfortunate statement calling for somebody who should know better. But I think you just think that we have better days ahead and better people to feel safety. That I think that meant to serve our countrymen. It's a very bad statement.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah,
even in terms of health access, I was looking at a report, health access and quality rating. Nigeria was rated 187th out of 195 countries. Look at the countries that
we know they carry last.
Look at the countries that we are ahead of: South Sudan, Kiribati, Guinea, Afghanistan, Chad, Guinea-Bissau, Somalia, Central African Republic. Wow. Those are the countries that we are privileged to be ahead of. I'm telling you that some of our people in Adamawa State, they go as far as Cameroon to receive Medicare.
I thought you were
going
going to break our hearts by saying Ghana is ahead of us.
Of course, from what I've read,
I'm not talking. Don't add it.
But many Nigerians go to Ghana.
Did you see us ahead of Ghana here?
Ghana,
this is the thing. African leaders came to Nigeria, they came to Abuja, and they declared that 15% of African countries' budgets should be set aside for health. Nigeria has never gone beyond 6%. Currently, we've done 3.8%, and we want health to improve in our country. The statement from the minister shows clearly that we do not value
life. Emeka, take a look. Let me digress a little. Now, public officers, when they are speaking of a text, a written text, don't you think it behoves them to be cautious of the statements they make? I know journalists have a knack for pushing and probing and so on, but you should be measured in your answers, because whatever you say is important.
Sometimes they get carried away. I don't know, maybe he just...
He even said they should be... Quote me.
Maybe...
He has been quoted now.
Yeah.
He has been quoted, and you see how, you see how Nigerians are receiving it. It's very sad. Like I said, and I repeat it, he must apologize to Nigerians, because that statement shows that he is not even qualified to be in the office of the Labour Minister. What he's trying to say is this. That there is no room for improvement in Nigeria. That this is a country where the population is growing. And we need to continue to expand our capacity in every sector so that we can cater to the needs of the growing population. Now, you are saying we can export doctors. Now, what about the babies that are being born? Who is going to take care of them? What about, there are people coming into this country for one thing or the other. Who is going to take care of them? We have different needs. And we find out that diseases are taking new forms these days. So what it means is that we must have continuous research. Because look at something like malaria. Malaria is not as easy to treat as it used to be. Yeah. So what it means is that we must have constant research, into the treatment of malaria. Where are the doctors that are going to implement the results of the research? Now, you want the doctors to go abroad because we have enough.
Is any research thing on now?
Well, I think I want to believe that the teaching hospitals and the medical colleges are not just,
mine is Labour Minister and Employment, Labour and Employment Minister. Wouldn't it have been better if he was made the Health Minister? Does it follow?
On the strength of what he just said.
Because I'm wondering why...
On the strength of what he just said, it will have been a monumental mistake to make him a health minister, because he's lost touch with what's going on in his original field of practice.
I asked this because I remember in the years of Gowon, late Alhaji Aminu Kano was Minister of Health. I remember that.
Yes.
But he was not a medical doctor.
Yeah, because the truth is, it's not even...
That's it.
Adamuchi Roma was CBN governor now. He was CBN governor and he read history. You are going to use the technocrats in the ministry.
Yeah.
The best oil minister that we've ever had remains David West.
Okay, David West. Virologist.
Yes.
You even talk about Ronald Reagan in your opening comments.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan was an actor.
No,
he was president of the United States.
Well, the truth is, the minister has not done well by the kind of this comment that he has made. And if you will sit down and think deeply...
They say there's always room for improvement. That room is always at the top.
The biggest room in the world.
Oh, yeah, he's at the top. Yes. And when you are at the top, you are alone. Well, I hear we must go. Emeka, when you leave here, take your bag of rice from...
where you kept it from.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Jide, a pleasure having you here all the time.
The minister is from his state, so I'm sure we'll have a frank talk with the minister later.
No, but the minister should represent us much better. He represents Anambra State in the fact, and
no, it's not done well.
Those comments.
He's speaking for you.
Oh,
maybe
no,
not.
He didn't speak for you.
All right, okay, we must go. That's it on the program today. Join us tomorrow for another episode. You may also watch Journalist Hangout on other platforms we'll display on the screen, and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. The feedback channel is the same. As always, I am Jones Hussein. Bye-bye now. Take care.